Hello, I'm Clark Farley.
And I'm Denise Fazzaro. We are live from Randall Realtors in Westerly, Rhode Island. We invite you to spend a little time as we share our insights and experiences, tips and tactics acquired over quite a few years. Our goal, help you become a better buyer and a skilled seller.
You know, Denise, prompted by the constraints of social distancing, enabled by the advances in technology, our 20-minute real estate briefing embody traditional real estate practices while still embracing the increased tempo of contemporary marketplace. Denise was making fun of me before.
I told Clark that what he was saying was pretty boring.
She was doing like the fall asleep
thing.
He's
trying to make it more interesting.
Yeah, because that's what two people do for each other when you go live. Anyway, hello, I'm Clark Farley still.
Hi, fellas.
Oh, okay.
Our goal is simple: touch as many situations and challenges that buyers and sellers encounter on their way to closing each week.
Yeah, each week we'll gather and share our experiences and insights, and we'll leave it to you to take it from there. The fact that you're watching this tells us that you would be the kind of buyer or a seller that any agent really is going to want to work with, because it indicates a degree of focus and the being informed. And you might be surprised, and this may be another top 10 list, but then I've run into buyers who are like, oh yeah, are we supposed to see a house today? Yeah, that kind of.
Well, some weeks we will talk to the buyers, and other weeks we'll talk to sellers, and some weeks
both.
We reverse that. See,
I know it. What the heck?
So, but before we get started, please let us know in the comments if you're, this is your line. I don't want to take your line away.
You probably don't see it out there, but we're sitting in the same physical position, but the monitor is reversing them. It's surprisingly disorientating. So before we get started, anybody out there want to let us know where you're viewing from in the comment section, which I am in charge of comments and the banners that you'll see as we go along. Denise is responsible for just getting me off balance. What's we have in store
this week on the 20-minute real estate briefings? The subject is the 10 worst things you can do from looking to closing.
Yeah, and it'll be kind of fun. We've been working on this for a few days now, and we'll let Denise do her thing.
Yes, thank you. Remember to hit subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Like us if you're on Facebook, and also give us any suggestions for topics down here in the comment box, or you can, I'm having a hard time talking today, or you can send us an email. Our email address is at the bottom of your screen, as well as our phone numbers, so you can text us. Watch all our past briefings on YouTube, and check us out on Instagram, where we do a weekly Where in South County Are We? So if you're familiar with the area, you may know some of the landmarks that we've got pictures of out there. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, there are landmarks, buildings, that kind of thing. We do it every Thursday and Sundays, and it is in fact kind of fun. The same way, anybody sees something familiar in a picture, you're trying to say, oh, where am I in that picture and all. So check in Instagram on Sunday, usually Sunday mornings and Thursday afternoons, and do that thing. So our list.
Everyone loves a top 10 list.
Yes, this is true.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. Go.
Yeah, as if. This week we have a top 10 kind of list, and we thought it would be both fun and enlightening to make a list of the things that we both as experienced agents have encountered from buyers and sellers, and the kinds of things that make you think, oh my God, why did I choose this profession? So you want to take that other line that before we get into it.
What's that? I said that.
Oh, right. Yeah, we did. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. You want to do number 10?
I will do number 10.
Oh, but that tells.
So our lists, they're not so much mistakes. For the most part, they are unintended. Yet there isn't an agent who hasn't received a phone call or a text or an email from a buyer or a seller that goes something like this. Buyer says to their agent, I told my friends and relatives, sure, the seller won't mind if you stop by and check out the garden.
The thing, and I'll bet you I say it more than once, these are drawn from direct real life experience. And it's kind of funny now, not so much when you have your seller calling you and saying, why are there 18 cars in front of my house?
And we're already under contract.
And people are setting up a volleyball court in the front yard. But that would be number 10. For number 9, we both have heard from a seller who will call up and say things like, hey, I let my neighbor use my shed out in the backyard because he's rebuilding his deck and he needed a place to store his tools because he didn't want to get them stolen. So I know we've got at least a week before that. That's a good idea, right? And most agents will say, no, it's not.
You're supposed to be cleaning out your house. You're not supposed to be letting the neighbors bring things into your house to store there because sometimes they never leave.
Well, that's the part that my mind went to. That is not that I'm less humorous, but the idea of personal property figures in part of what I do is in my practice. And valuable personal property isn't to be taken lightly because, it's all about, you get the phone call 2 weeks after the closing, where the heck did my skill sort go?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going, oh, well, I don't know. So that would be number 9. Thank you for reminding me
welcome.
To do that.
So number 8 would be the guy at Best Buy said, if I order now, the appliances can be delivered in the week before the closing. I'm sure the sellers won't mind if we put it in the garage. Yes, the sellers will mind. Yes, they will mind because they're trying to empty the house out so they can close with you. And if you've got appliances and things being delivered before you own the property, that's a problem. Especially, I just believe that you don't want to mess with that because what if something happens and you don't end up owning the property at the 11th hour? Now your washer or dryer or refrigerator or whatever is in the house. So no, you can't move into the house before the closing. You can't put anything in the house before the closing.
I'd suggest that that's a compliment to the agent when somebody does that kind of thing because, we talk a lot about the stress. If we do our job really well, the buyer can get so relaxed and start thinking normal life as opposed to, oh my God, is this going to go through? And I had a direct experience with a person who, the main rationale was, hey, but I've got 25% off if I do it now. And it makes sense unless you were realizing that you've got 2 major things going on. And so it was kind of a compliment there.
I think you can buy them and just ask them not to deliver them until after the closing, So number 7.
Let me get to number 7.
Number 7. So the co-broke is showing a house that the buyers really, really like.
Yeah.
And what do the buyers do? They go ask the co-broke, the seller's agent, will your sellers accept a full price offer if we send it in tonight?
Real life.
That does happen.
Oh, way more than you would think. Now, we talk to buyers out there. Buyers, I would be saying, let's go talk in the family room now as politely as I could. But in theory, if they've been properly prompted, you don't need to talk to the seller's agent.
Well, when I'm working with buyers, I always say to them, listen, I don't care how much you like the house when we're in there. You can tug on your ear or, squeeze my hand, something to tell me I love this house. But please don't say I love this house in front of the seller's agent because you're affecting your negotiation skill by showing how excited you are.
Yeah, and it may not change the numbers necessarily, but like you say, and footnote here in a more normal market is that the buyer's agent would go to the seller's agent, would go and say, hey, look, these guys really liked it.
It's their job to. It's their job to. The seller's agent represents the seller. They're supposed to tell them everything they know about the buyers. So if you have said how much you love the house, and, I myself, when have sellers there, when I see couples or any buyers start to decorate, in their mind,
Yeah, I'm totally going to sit in the couch.
Yeah, I'm going to put my couch there. I'm going to put my piano over there. So I tell my sellers they're moving in already in their minds, and that's a sure sign that they love the property.
That's one of the fun things in the business is when you go in there, like you say, you're getting the vibe that they're liking it. I will given the slightest provocation, sit on the couch and just relax and watch. And then one will sit and will talk, that kind of thing, end up putting themselves in the picture, as we say.
Yeah.
Conversely, and this is probably for another show, sometimes I've had buyers concerned that, oh my God, I hate this house. And I'll tell them, well, before we go out, don't worry, give me a signal politely enough, and don't worry. Because I'll go and give our, in other words, you don't even have to get out of the car.
Absolutely. And that's really, really important, because all of us don't want you to walk through a house that you're not interested in. And let's go on to the next thing. No, I don't mean this. I mean, when we're selling a house.
Boy, my condition, huh? Jeez, yes, ma'am.
Okay, now you can go on to the next thing.
Oh, dear.
Number 6.
Okay, number 6.
I'm still the owner of the house, and I have been for 20 years. So it only makes sense that I should be there for the buyer's inspection. After all, who knows the house better?
That's directly from Mr. Roger Seller. That's a little joke to everyone, because I think we did the setup where this isn't really a big mistake or wrongly intended. It's a compliment to the agents to let the buyers and sellers feel comfortable enough to act normally.
The only thing that I would say, though, is that, and I've told my sellers this, you really don't want to be there, because the inspector's job is to find every little thing that they can find that's wrong with the property, so that the buyer is aware of what they're buying. It's kind of like if you walk around the outside of your car and you see little dents and little bangs that maybe you've gotten over the years, and you just really haven't noticed them till you really walk around the car and take a look. There are things you live with in your house that you probably have lived with for years that an inspector's going to pick up on. And there are codes that change. And a lot of times a seller will get very upset about what they say is nitpicking when all the inspector is doing is his job.
Cranked up by being in person, that emotion that they'll be under, and there are people who just can't resist that, and that's where our job is to do our best.
I actually don't think I've ever had a seller at an inspection. I've been able to talk to them about that. But I have been at inspections where sellers have been there.
Nothing good comes of it, because the thing is, as the buyer's agents, I'm always there only to report back to the seller the mood of the buyers. I don't care what's on the list, the report, or what the inspector says. I'm going to be saying, okay, they were okay with it, or they weren't scared, because scared is the big thing about inspections. Right. And also,
you want to do number 5, or you're switching banners
scroll
here?
It up. Holy smoke! Hold on. Number 5.
Right, number 5. Drum roll. Go.
Gladys, jeez, who's the old person in the room? Gladys Seller. She has been known to call and say, "We know the closing is scheduled for next week, but we were told." Oh, I've got it up here too.
Yeah.
Oh, good. We were told that.
No. Want me to do this?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So Gladys is the seller, and she knows the showing, the closing is next week. Phew. Anyway, Gladys. She says to her agent, by the way, I forgot to tell you, I'm taking that big rhododendron in the front yard because it was a gift and I really want it. So we're going to take it to our new house. Oh, trouble.
Yeah, really, huh?
Yeah. You really need to disclose up front, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, or whoever's buying the house, that if there's something you want. If you want any of the shrubbery, you need to say it, because you need to replace it.
Well, yeah. And it doesn't happen that often, but it's so weird that
light fixtures, big thing. I bought that chandelier. My mother gave me that chandelier. Those kind of things, you need to talk about it. So again, good agent will ask you, is there anything in the house or on the grounds that you don't want?
And that's the part where that's unusual, but that's how it surprises us, because people don't tend to think about taking bushes or getting strong emotional attachments.
It happens a lot.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I had a client buying a house in Groton, and they had some fruit trees in the yard, but they disclosed to us that they were taking them. And another client here in Westerly, It was an estate sale, and mom had planted a rose bush, and they wanted the rose bush. And that one was kind of odd because they didn't take it before the closing, even though they said they wanted it. So we had to keep like talking about it with the new owners. And finally they did go take it. You know, first it was, well, the weather's not right, and you know, that kind of thing. So truthfully, what I tell my sellers, if you're going to take something, let's just take it now.
Oh, yeah.
You know, let's just take it now. If you're going to replace the light fixture, just go buy a light fixture and pack the one you want to take, because you're going to take it. So pack it. Let's not even show it that way.
Yeah, because, you know, the whole business of looking and liking a house involves the emotions, which are not usually logical. So a little thing like a rose bush could mess things right up. I better click on number 4.
Yeah, because we're moving on.
Oh, yeah.
So Nancy, a buyer, hours after receiving the news that the appraisal was successfully completed, she says, they offered me the job. I'm so excited. It's a cut and pay, but it's what I've always wanted to do.
Yeah, I've had that.
Yeah. So basically, you can't change careers. You changed my words on this one. So my point was, you cannot change careers during this process. Actually, you cannot change careers for 2 years before the process, because you have to be in the same field for 2 years in order for your salary to be, or your 1099 if you're self-employed, to be considered. So perfect example, my niece had 3 jobs, and she went down to 1 job. But that job was as a dog groomer, and her other jobs were in retail and hospitality. She was not able to purchase a house because she had changed careers and did not have the dog grooming job for 2 years. So you can change jobs, but you cannot change careers. So if you go from one job of retail to another job of retail, you're fine.
Yeah.
But you cannot go from retail to accounting, even though accounting pays much more money, because you have to have 2 years of the same career.
And if you have your syllabus handy of the past episodes, the past briefings, that'll be under the heading of team building and the financial/financing expert, because they'll be pounding that into you right from the start.
And it's also part of being prepared yourself, knowing ahead of time what you need to do financially yourself to be in a position to buy.
True.
So number 3.
Number 3. I've got number 3. Am I prepared to read that?
Yes, you are.
It's got Lester. Oh, yeah, Lester Seller. So they tell us that the cans in the garage are from the paint job that they did 3 years ago in the kitchen. And of course, you'd want that for touch-ups. And asphalt shingles, you know, you're going to need to put those on someday. It all comes down to a very funny way to talk about the buyers, or sellers rather, who leave stuff for the buyers, again, often with good intentions, but no.
Especially if you kept the paint in the garage. Sometimes it freezes, it gets warm, and it's not useful.
Well, I've seen that, couches, and you know, it's all about, in another form of this question when I started, was that they're relating to when they moved in. Right. And they inherited a bunch of stuff, and they're thinking, we're doing a favor.
Right. So, Mr. Seller, if you want to leave any of those things, if you think they're interested in those things, ask.
Yeah.
Ask and let your agent find out if they are interested. Chances are, if you've painted 2 years ago or a year ago, they may be. But you know what? They may not like the color of paint you painted.
Yeah, even better, don't do it. Let's go right to number 2.
So number 2, we told the gas and electric companies, this is the seller, we told the gas and electric companies to disconnect service the day before closing, because that's the day we're leaving.
Yeah. That's a real pain in the neck. It's not the end of the world. It's just a pain in the neck, more if you're the buyer's side, because the process of, and the normal practice, of course, is each party calls and just says, we're having a closing, and most utilities, and they just switch the accounts on a given date, at least here in this area, which is southern Rhode Island, as opposed to, say, some place like Idaho.
Right.
Where
we have no idea what they do there.
No, we wish somebody from Idaho would call in
Clark wishes somebody from Idaho would call in. Anyway, we basically, if you call the utility companies and the buyer calls the utility companies, it's a seamless transition. Right.
Totally.
So number one.
The build-up kind of thing, and that's the thing that buyers might be able to do to make our hair even grayer, is the buyer will say to you, I so wanted to show you my new car. Figured since the appraisal was done, I could afford something nice. Have I seen that? I don't think I've done the car, but I've seen the purchase effect.
Yeah, people have purchased cars and or appliances or furniture. Basically, you don't want to touch your credit once you've put.
Oh, your finance, the whole package.
Yeah, you don't want to touch anything like that once you have gone under contract and once you've applied for your mortgage, because your mortgage is
well, they do a last minute
pre-approved on what you were at that time. If you go out, even if you get gifts, they want to know. If you get somebody gives you money, they say, oh, here, let me help you buy this house. And then you have to get a gift statement. You can't just take a gift, and the bank checks your bank accounts. They check your payroll. They check everything again right before closing.
Just before the closing. And that's what catches people off guard. There's so much of what goes on behind the scenes, and the buyer doesn't necessarily need to know each step, but just that basic rule of don't do anything extra until you actually have closed and moved in the house.
Right. Especially credit cards and those kind of things. And we know you want to buy your new refrigerator, you want to buy new carpeting, whatever you want to do.
Well, it's the score thing. Credit scores can be so sensitive that if it skews it, and especially nowadays where more and more people are on the edge of
and that leads into our next point of what we're going to be doing next week.
Excellent segue.
Because it was a good segue. Because we are going to have a lender interview, mortgage expert with us next week that we'll be interviewing, and we have some questions out to her already. So
get out your yellow pads and jot down your questions.
And if you have any questions you would like, please put the comments on. If you have any questions you'd like to ask the lender or a mortgage expert that maybe we may not think of, or something personal, that's fine too. Just put it in the comments. No, I meant about lender mortgages.
Okay.
Put it in the comment section. Email us, or you can text us and ask us the questions, and we'll be sure that we get this expert to answer your questions.
Yeah, it'll be actually fun, and we did the last time with Emma. That was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun.
So I'm looking forward to it next week. So are we out of time?
Almost. Actually, we're over time. So please check out our YouTube channel, subscribe, look at all our past briefings, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Send us a fruit basket.
No, that's not true. And we will see you next Wednesday at 5:30.
So long.
Bye.